Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for the week of August 4th. We're just going to jump right in here. You have this future card. It says, you have perfect clarity in a situation. Trust your inner knowingness. You have this fleeting flare path card. It says, something in your life will be brief, not meant to stay in your life forever. We have, I feel you are getting a bunch of clarity on the future, Taurus, especially this week. We're getting to the end of the retrograde, obviously, and the beginning and the end of the retrograde is always the strongest. This retrograde seemed to be a good one for clarity on, mostly on things, obviously, that you're already dealing with. So, I always say I think people think of Mercury retrograde as being confusing, which can be true, but, usually it can bring in great clarity on things that we've already been dealing with or, things that we want to correct or redo or whatever. And so I do feel a lot of you could be maybe a lot more clear on the direction that you want to go in your life, or like what you want to create, even if you haven't been for a long time. And sure, we'll take both. I don't know if you saw that, but this one wanted to pop out with that 3 of Cups, so we'll take it. But yeah, there could be like a lot of clarity and things like that. It could be a surprise as well. You have the Tower, but you have the star above the Tower. Whenever I have a reading with the Tower, if I get the star, I'm not too worried about it, because the star kind of cancels out the Tower in a lot of ways. So let's see here, Taurus. You have the 6 of Pentacles, the Strength card, and the Page of Swords here in your first row. And sorry, I'm just trying to suck all this up here, Taurus, and just look at everything that's going on. But you have the 6 of Pentacles, which is like equal give and take. It's like I do feel fairness here, just in general. I feel like things aren't perfect, maybe, but I feel like maybe you feel that the universe is being more fair this week, or maybe you kind of feel like the universe is more on your side or something like that. So I do feel pretty good about this. I have like a gift popping into my head as well. So some of you could feel like you're getting a gift or receiving a gift, which is interesting. So I do like to see that. I'm getting a million things here, Taurus. The other thing that's popping into my head with the 6 of Pentacles is to read the fine print. There's this guy here. He has this little thing in his back pocket, right? And so we have a saying, if someone has something in their back pocket, it means they have like ulterior motives. But I don't know, it's like popping into my head, Taurus. Like if you're signing something this week, especially the week of the 4th, I'm not talking about, this week will be published the week of the 28th. So it'll be published on the 30th or whatever of July. And today is July 29th. And so whatever tomorrow is. And, what I would say with this card is that specifically like the week of the 4th, if you're signing something, anything, I would just like read the fine print. Like, I don't think anything bad would happen, but I do think there's something in the fine print, right? It is popping into my head that, especially if you're signing something, that there might be something that you don't like or you don't want. And you can always say no. You can always negotiate. You can always, kind of like, go back over. You can always, counteroffer contracts and things like that as well. So, I would make sure to do that. And I would also say that, if there is fine print you don't like and they're not willing to change it, then I would walk away, right? Especially during a Mercury retrograde, right? It's like if there's something you don't like, fix it. And if they don't fix it, don't sign it, right? Plain and simple. People ask me all the time, can I sign things during Mercury retrogrades? I always say, yes, of course. We shouldn't stop life for astrology, plain and simple. But what we should do is we should double check it. We should have someone else double check it. And we should read the fine print again on top of double checking it, right? And then the other thing is when you find a problem, you fix it under a Mercury retrograde. Just that simple, right? Mercury retrograde does not say don't sign things. It drives me absolutely crazy when I hear people say that. It's like, no, it's about double checking things. It's about not just accepting things. That's what Mercury retrograde is. It doesn't say don't do this, right? And so, again, as long as you do that, you'll be fine. If you don't, then yeah, absolutely, bad things could happen. You have this Strength card. I feel like you have been very patient. I feel like you have been very strong. I feel this is like many years of your life that you've been building up to here, Taurus. I think all fixed signs are kind of like getting into this position, where it's like you've had to do things where you've had to be strong for a very long period of time. And now you could all finally be getting the benefits of that strength. She is finally being seen for her strength. She is putting on a display of strength here on the card. And so, like, people are seeing how strong she is. And, again, I think people could be seeing how strong you are. And there could be a lot of benefits to that. You have the Page of Swords. A very curious week, I would say. A lot of people have already had the Page of Swords this week. And I think curiosity is something that could be making you actually lucky here, Taurus, right? Being curious about like new directions, new ideas, being willing to play and experiment and, just see how things go. I think, it's kind of hard to describe, but I keep telling people it's like we really have to be willing to experiment and play with ideas right now, because it's like you could have an idea to do something. It's like that idea that you have, the first one, probably isn't going to be the thing that works. But it's like kind of like what comes from that is what works. It's almost like the best way I can describe it is I feel like some of us, and clearly you, Taurus, are almost in a time of stepping stones. But it's like we have to step on the stepping stones to get to where we're going. We can't just skip things. People always say, why can't I just skip to the end? I'm like, have you ever watched the movie Click with Adam Sandler? If you haven't, go watch it. That's why we can't skip things, because if you do, before you know it, you're old, and then you have a heart attack in a parking lot and your wife leaves you, right? So, I don't know. That's why. Watch that movie if you don't understand why we can't click past stepping stones. And it's a hilarious, great movie, number one. Number two, that's why. And we are here to explore, expand, and all those other E words that I can't think of right now. But I would experiment. That was a big one, right? But I think you need to be willing to explore and be curious with the Page of Swords, right? So let's see. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Nine of Swords. Like I said, I would read the fine print for sure. I don't feel bad about the Six of Pentacles. I just feel a lot of energy. Sometimes a card will just really talk to me in a reading, and the Six of Pentacles is really talking to me in your reading here, Taurus. I think it's good. Part of it. I think if you don't pay attention, it'll be bad. So definitely pay attention. The other thing is that I also feel good about this going down to the Tower, because the Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. It is something you definitely want to end, right? And so this right here could say that you're finally ending some sort of never-ending nightmare, which would be great, Taurus. With the Strength card, you have the Two of Wands. Yeah, I feel like you're ready. I kind of just feel like the Two of Wands is saying you're ready for something. The Two of Wands, he's kind of standing at the top of his castle, and he's looking out into the world. Two of Wands is a card of progress, foresight, taking the lead on something as well. And I really am not getting much. I'm getting the total opposite of the Six of Pentacles. This card is basically saying nothing to me. It's just saying you're ready, and that's it. So I feel pretty good about that. Some of you could be thinking about traveling or moving as well. You have the Tower. The Tower with the Chariot can just be a move. Two of Wands can be a move. So there you go. With the Page of Swords, you have the Strength card again. So again, I think for a lot of you, this could be about allowing people to see your strength. It's like you can be good at a lot of different things in life, but if you don't use it, like use your skills, then no one's going to know. So use your skills. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Divine Matrix card and this Call of the Muse card. Yes, I think you need to follow your inspirations, especially with the Star. The Call of the Muse card is like having a muse, having something that inspires you to action. The Divine Matrix card, I feel pretty good again for you this week. I feel like it's like a plugged-in week. Is this week perfect? Hell no. You have the Tower, you have the Nine of Swords, so it's, not a perfect week, but I do think it is a plugged-in week for you, Taurus, where you're feeling maybe more plugged in, more clarity, like we said at the beginning of the reading as well with that Future card. So it's like, yeah, overall, I feel pretty positive about this for you. You have the Five of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands. The Five of Wands is a card of conflict and competition. This card can represent, needing to either avoid conflict. I think that it would be an amazing time for you to study the competition. Obviously, I would avoid conflict as well, is what I would say, because we do have Mars retrograde in Leo, and Mercury retrograde in Leo. You have two Leo cards here. The reason I said Mars is because Mars went retrograde in Leo last year into this year. So that Mercury retrograde could be calling back some of that Mars retrograde energy that we had since last year. And, again, Mars retrograde is always a really bad time for arguments. So even though we don't have Mars retrograde, even though it's Mercury retrograde, I would still say that Mercury retrograde energy could be calling back that energy, and I would just avoid it. It's kind of like a weird few years. Even, next year, by the way, we also will have Jupiter will go retrograde almost in exactly the same spot in Leo, which is pretty interesting. So, I don't know. It's like, that part of the sky is getting hit and has been getting hit since November of last year. So, again, no arguments in the home. Obviously, Jupiter retrograde is pretty much always positives. It's not like Mercury or Mars retrograde, so, it probably won't be as bad, but I think it's something to think about. You show up here as the King of Pentacles. Whenever you show up as yourself, of course, it puts you in a position of power and strength, allows you to get what you want from the reading. So I feel that there could be just, some good stuff going on for you here, Leo. You could be feeling good. You could be feeling more positive and like things are going more your direction. So yeah, I feel pretty good about this in general. I feel a lot of you could be like increasing your resources with the King of Pentacles as well. I think a lot of you have been wanting to do this. Like even if you're 80 years old, even if you're 90 years old, this is probably something you've been working on forever and trying to get to a good place financially. And I feel like even if you're 90 years old, people always leave me comments where they say, I'm 90 years old. I'm like, okay, well, you're probably going to die in a year. That's fine. Whatever. 91, that's a good life, right? Congratulations. I'm going to die at 97 falling up the stairs. It used to be 87, and then something happened where I got an extra 10 years. Great, right? But I'm going to die falling up the stairs, right? So there you go. But what I would say is, even if you only have a year left, it's like, why not get the most of it, right? Before you die, before something happens. There you go, right? Do something with that life that you have left, right? Make something of it. You have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands, a card of conviction. It's a card of, believing something deep down inside. If I were a Taurus, this is definitely one of the things I would be focusing on the most. I just see a lot of benefits in Taurus working on their mindset, but like brainwashing yourself into things. And so, I think it would be just an amazing time to practice like positive thinking, brainwashing things, and brainwashing yourself into things, brainwashing yourself into believing you can do things, and blah 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 blah, right? All that other good stuff. Like Seven of Wands says, when you know that you know, when you believe something that deeply, that is when you will be successful. So that's what I would do here with the Seven of Wands. With the Five of Wands, you have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles, of course, is equal give and take. You have it twice here, right? The other thing that's popping into my head here is about fairness, Taurus, is I almost feel like this is saying that you, like, it's like sometimes, like, I don't have a good example for you, and I'm not saying that this is talking about a relationship. This is just the example that's popping into my head, right? It's like, I've had a lot of people leave comments where they say things like, oh, my ex broke up with me and they cheated on me, and, they just made $1 million and bought a Ferrari, and all these great things are happening for them, right? And my life sucks. And I'm not laughing at you. I'm just saying, right? And so it's like, that's what's popping into my head here is that, like, but I also feel like it's saying you shouldn't be comparing yourself to the competition. Like, you might be thinking that something isn't fair, but it's like you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. It's like maybe what you don't know is that your ex is absolutely miserable. Maybe they took out a loan to buy the Ferrari, and maybe they can't afford to pay it. And maybe they're having to park their car like 30 streets over from where they live so that the repo man can't find it, right? It's like you don't actually know. It's like you might think that you're seeing something, and this is what's popping into my head for some of you. I'm not saying this is love. Again, that's just the example that I'm using. Like, I feel like some of you, it's like you could be looking at the competition, you could be thinking like, oh, their life is so great, but like really it isn't, With the King of Pentacles, you have the Death card. I mean, we're in the most significant time of change that we will ever experience. Again, most generations do not experience the amount of change that the people alive right now will experience. Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius is a ridiculously significant change. And again, most people never experience it because it takes 280 whatever years for Pluto to come back to a sign, right? And so it'll be 200 something years before it comes back, or almost 300 actually. And so that's number one. Number two, not only that, but we also, like, never in history have we had not only Pluto change, but all the other major planets changing at exactly the same time. Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter, right? And so, like, all those planets, and Uranus, and so, like, all those planets basically within a year have entered into a new sign, right? When you really think about it, And so, is it the same time? No, but when we're talking about 300-year time frames, then yes, it's the same freaking time, right? And so we are in a time of significant change. We're just going through changes. That's what she said. That made no sense. There you go. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups could be a knight in shining armor. I don't know. I feel like is this really love reading? I would say no, but I think love is always available to us. Definitely could be love. But this could also be a dream that you're working on with that Knight of Cups. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, I'm pretty sure I said this. This card says gift, and I'm pretty sure I said something about receiving a gift at the beginning of the reading. You have this room card. I feel like some of you could be getting the gift of space. So it's like maybe you need some space in your life, or maybe you need to put some space between you and something else. But, again, I think what I was saying on that Six of Pentacles is that, it's like you feel like things are more fair. And maybe that's the gift that you are receiving, is that the universe is being, maybe you just feel like the universe is being more fair or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of like popping into my head. So that's what I'm getting there. You have the Star, the Two of Pentacles, Three of Cups in the Tower. Again, the Star kind of cancels out the Tower, and especially when it comes out on top of it, like this, at the top of a row. To me, it kind of says that you're healing from a Tower moment. That's what the Star represents. To me, the Star is also, like, the thing about the Star is it can be the new inspiration. The whole point of the Tower is that those people are coming down to reality. They've been ignoring reality for too long. And so now they're coming down to reality, and maybe they need inspiration to figure out, like, what new direction to move in life or what to do with their life in general. So I do feel you could be getting a lot of, like, inspiration at this time. I think I said that at the beginning of your reading as well, is that it's almost like there could be an idea. If you don't know what to do with your life, or, even like I said, if you're 90 years old and you have a year left, right, rip. I'll send flowers to your funeral, right? Congratulations for making it this long. But what I would say is that, even if you only have a year left, I really feel you need to, like, make the most of it here, Taurus. I feel like you need to, like, make it happen, right? Next, you have the Three of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, like a lot of good stuff for you. I even think in your August reading that I did for you, there was a lot of good stuff about teamwork and working together with other people. Two of Pentacles, like hard work as well. I do feel there could be a ton of benefits in you working together with other people, spending time with other people, stuff like that. So that would be great. I also feel like, those three ladies are celebrating a harvest, but I think you could be creating a harvest. It's like not here yet. This is something where it's like if you start working on a new project now, it's like, yeah, absolutely. In the future, you will be celebrating a harvest. But, I do feel the Two of Pentacles is kind of saying, but you have to put the work in, obviously. You have the Tower. Again, this is about accepting reality, plain and simple, right? Accepting new realities, accepting where reality is headed, and, all that other stuff. Definitely could be some big changes happening for you as well with the Tower card. So I do feel there are some big changes here. With the Star, you have the Star. So basically the universe saying I meant what I said. The other thing that I would say is, your card is the Empress as well in the tarot on top of the King of Pentacles. And, sometimes, like, I feel that is what you should be working on, is your energy. And so the Star is a card of self-care. The Empress is a card of self-care. You don't have the Empress here, but it doesn't matter. I'm kind of making a connection here for you, Taurus, right? The better you take care of yourself, the more you put yourself first in all those other things, probably, like, the better things will go for you at this time. Let's see. With the Two of Pentacles and the Three of Cups, you have the Eight of Swords. Yeah, I don't know how many times I have to say this to you, but I would be open, to trying things you don't think will work. I feel like I've been saying this to you since, like, last year. It pops into my head, like, every single reading now, Taurus, that there is, like, there could be certain things where you're like, that would never work, right? It's like someone gives you an idea, and you might say, no, that can't work, right? But it does. And so I think you need to, like, anything can work. It cracks me up because, like, I teach YouTube on the weekends, and it's like all the time I will have, like, students that come to me, and they'll be like, this doesn't work. They'll tell me that something on YouTube doesn't work. I'm like, well, I can give you 20 examples of people who have made it work. Exactly what you're saying doesn't work, right? And so it's like, I feel this is saying, stay flexible and be willing to try new things. With the Tower, you have the Two of Cups. Could be a surprise connection for sure. For those of you that want love, the fact that there really isn't love here, sometimes what that tells me is that you're just not looking for it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, Taurus. But again, this could be something that surprises you. Like, maybe you meet a person, you're like, okay, well, I'll give this person a try, And so there you go. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Wake Up card. and it says awareness, self-control, and transition. You have this time shift card. It says past lives, insights, and possibilities. Yeah, we are in a time of possibility. I think I like to describe it as we are in a time of empty space, is what I tell people. And that's what this is more of a personal belief, so I could be wrong, right? I mean, there are a million things I could be wrong about, but, I just believe we're in a time of empty space. And it's like, I feel like that's why people feel weird right now, is because we need to fill the world with our good ideas and get rid of the bad ones, right? There's a lot of empty space that needs to be filled up with good stuff. And that's why I always encourage people to fill the world with good stuff. And just that simple. You have the Ten of Swords, Six of Wands, and the Chariot. Ten of Swords says something from the past is dead, done, over with. It's coming up in the good stuff. So, Ten of Swords and the good stuff can represent a blessing in disguise. It can represent, he's making the symbol right here. In that symbol is the same symbol the Hierophant is making on his card, which is your card as well, Taurus, which represents a blessing. So it could be blessings coming in for you after a difficult period of time. You have the Six of Wands. I feel like, everyone has to stand out right now because of Pluto and Aquarius. Like, part of Pluto and Aquarius, I believe, is that we all kind of need to become like a star. And you have the star here twice. But you have the Strength card here twice as well. And so the Six of Wands, he's been through something very difficult, and now he's being celebrated because of it. Strength card, same thing. Like, Strength card is a display of strength. I always say, who in the right mind would stick their hands in a lion's mouth? And the answer is nobody. And so we have to be willing to, we have to show our strength, right? Which takes time. And I feel a lot of you Tauruses could be working on like showing your strength or putting your strength on display. And yeah, that's what I would do here with the Six of Wands. You have the Chariot. Chariot is like a victory or big win coming in for you. And so there could be some sort of big win coming in for you this week. It's like, this is the only thing I would be focusing on. It's like sometimes it takes me a while to like figure out what's going on in the collective energy, right? As I do these readings. And what I would say is there's something about this week where it's like, I think if people just like focus on what they can, what's like right in front of them, what they can do right now with what they got, it's like that is going to lead to a victory for you personally. And that's what I would focus on. Definitely a lot of changes. Some of you could be thinking about moving or traveling as well. And there could be a lot of benefits in that. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, of course. But as I always say, really it's a card of doing things in a different way. He is stealing those swords from an army in the background. And so instead of going to war, he's avoiding war. And he's doing something in a different way. So again, you have like 19 cards here, 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands, that all kind of represent doing something in a different way. And if you could do that, I think there will be a lot of success for you here, Taurus. With the 6 of Wands, you have the Fool. The Fool is about taking a leap of faith in a new direction. And we, again, I think we are in a time of quick movement in some ways. It's like, there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And it's like, I feel like that is like the last 2 or 3 years. Is that it's like we have to be willing to move quickly, but I also think we have to think things through. And people always say, how is that possible? I'm like, well, I don't know. Do your research. It's like it's like you're going to have to do your research and move on things quickly. And it's like people always say I'm contradicting myself. I'm like, well, not really. We're not black and white people. Well, we might be, but whatever. Again, life isn't black and white is what I'm trying to say, right? And so again, I think that two things can be true at once. We can kind of like slow things down and make decisions slowly while also moving quickly. And I know that's hard for some people, but there you go. And obviously, if you're 90, based off this reading, I would get your ass moving because you might only have a year left. So but I wouldn't take a year, right? I would take like a month to think about things and then move. With the Chariot, you have the 9 of Cups, wish fulfillment or fulfillment coming in for you. So I feel like there could be some sort of a wish that you've had for a long time here, Taurus. There's like a lot of stuff about like receiving a gift coming up here for you. So that looks amazing. You have this Torch card. It says spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. Yeah, I think that's something people forget about the Tower is that, the Tower can lead to a lot of, to all of those things. It can lead to spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. So it might not be easy, but it can lead to that. You have this dagger card. It says fears, worries, tense situation. Again, Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, right? Even though Mars isn't retrograde anymore, like I said, doesn't matter. Mercury's retrograde in exactly the same spot. So, I just think Mars retrograde in particular can make us feel like people are going to stab us in the back and things like that when it isn't true. This Mercury retrograde could be kind of like calling up that energy. But again, I would still pay attention. You have the Six of Pentacles with the thing in the back pocket, that whole thing. So I would pay attention. You have this bird flying. It says news is on the way. Yeah, could be some good news that you're receiving here, Taurus. So love it. You have this throne. It says position of authority. Two of Wands. Two of Wands wants you to take the lead in the reading. Plain and simple. So you could be becoming an authority here. You have this candle. It says you will be shown the way. Yeah, a lot of enlightenment. Star twice. Six of Wands. Chariot. It's like a lot of answers, basically showing up in this reading. So I love this for you, Taurus. Looks really good. It's maybe a little bit intense, but like not in a bad way. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your week.